YouTube. Today we're going to be reviewing the SonarPen 2. The SonarPen 2 is a Apple Pencil alternative, which actually has the capabilities of an Apple Pencil, meaning that it has pressure sensitivity and it also has shortcut buttons. So what we're going to do first is we're going to unbox this thing and we're going to see our impression. Now before we unbox it, I'd like to mention that I was a Kickstarter backer of this project and I didn't actually get this from the company. So we'll actually check out the boxing and see it from a consumer point of view. The back of it has a few pieces from artists, and then this is what the product actually looks like. And open it right here. Anyway, let's pull it out. And everything flew. So this is the SonarPen 2. Right here. And we can see that the SonarPen 2 actually comes with a USB-C, and that's how it's powered. Because the SonarPen, unlike other pen, it is powered through your audio jack of all things, and that's how it's able to achieve its pressure sensitivity. Even the first SonarPen, which I actually had here, right here, is also powered through audio, and this one was actually a more broad device. It could work across all devices. It could work on your Android device, your iPad, your iPhone, even a Nintendo Switch and Windows. So this was a pretty interesting device, but I found that on most devices, it actually gave a lot of issues. So I want to jump into this one as it looks very improved. And I'm glad that we actually have an actual nib now rather than this disc, which kind of gets in the way of your drawing and kind of ruins the whole thing. What I really like about the SonarPen opposed to the Apple Pencil is this thick, like Wacom or traditional drawing tablet. Like the pen is very thick, so it's better for a grip. I've always found that the Apple Pencil is very skinny, so it's kind of hard to get like a good grip on this thing. Like I changed the grips of my Apple Pencil so much, and I'm always buying all types of different holders for the Apple Pencil so I could be satisfied with it. But honestly, I always find that the Apple Pencil is best in its regular form, but it's never been that comfortable to hold, especially not the first generation Apple Pencil. To continue on with the unboxing, of course, we get the extra nib that they promised. As you can see with this device, it also has a little holder for the USB cable, since it's very aware that it's using the cable, and you kind of just tuck it into here. I'm not gonna do the whole wrapping here because I'm not sure how to do it correctly right now, but that's something that you'll do just to conceal the wire, and it will still look like a clean device. You take it out when you need to. Aside from that, the box just comes with this pen holder, which you can also attach to the back of your iPad. And we have a little card here for a quick start video. So I'm gonna watch that, and then I'm gonna boot it up and return to you guys on the iPad. Now moving on over to the iPad, I had to try quite a few things to get the SonarPen 2 to work. So first of all, I tried out MediBang, which was compatible with the SonarPen 1, as the SonarPen 2 did mention that it had limited capability with apps that supported the SonarPen 1 driver. But when I went into MediBang, I found that I could not use the pen at all. Like, it wouldn't even respond to my screen. And that's a big issue because the SonarPen 2 is noted that it can be used even on apps that don't support the driver. It just can't use pressure sensitivity. So I knew there was an issue here. So what I did here was that I went to my settings and I forgot my Apple Pencil, which was actually something I missed on the instructions. And from there, I could use my SonarPen 2 on any app on my iPad. Despite all of this though, I could not get the SonarPen 2 to work with pressure sensitivity in MediBang, which was fine because it did say it would have limited capability with apps that had the SonarPen 1 driver. I did try out two other apps that also had the SonarPen 1 driver, being Art Studio Pro. I also even tried out MediBang Pro. And for the last one, I tried out Infinite Painter, and I found that none of these apps would respond to pressure sensitivity with the SonarPen 2. That was a bit disappointing because some of these apps were directly marketed with the SonarPen 2 as if they work, but they really just work
as a stylus with no pressure sensitivity, which is like I could just buy a $20 Amazon stylus. So what I did was I went to the website to see which apps actually support the SonarPen 2 driver.
So it's officially supported by Flip-a-Clip, IbisPaint, Hipaint, ZenBrush 2, Space Desk, which is something where you can basically duplicate your laptop screen on your iPad and draw on your iPad, Shaper 3D, CAD modeling, Zoom Note. Yeah, that seems to be it.
So after looking into the officially supported apps, I decided to jump into IbisPaint, which was really the only popular painting app that I could see supported the SonarPen 2 driver. So I hopped into IbisPaint, and what I found was actually very good compared to the SonarPen 1, which is that the SonarPen 2 was just like a plug-and-play device with this software. Once I plugged it in, I immediately got confirmation that it works. I didn't have to go into any settings to activate the SonarPen driver. It just automatically worked, and I could see that I had pressure sensitivity in IbisPaint. I will say this made the SonarPen 2 feel much more comfortable, because when you're just using it on the screen without pressure sensitivity, without the feedback, it kind of makes you feel like you really realize how much you're just pressing onto hard glass. And it doesn't really feel comfortable aside from the grip that the SonarPen 2 has, which is very comfortable. So I did a few things in IbisPaint. I did a stabilization test where I found that the SonarPen 2 is pretty stable when you're drawing a straight line. And in general, with IbisPaint, I found it to be a very usable experience. Aside from that, I also couldn't find any way to actually customize the customizable button on the SonarPen 2, which was pretty disappointing. I'm thinking the SonarPen 2 would really benefit from having its own app on the App Store, where it can basically calibrate itself to work with the iPad. And maybe you could even set a customizable function for the SonarPen 2, as I've seen on other styluses. So I'm actually re-recording some audio right now, and at first I was reviewing this and I was feeling pretty negative about the product overall because I felt like there were a lot of software limitations. But after trying out Hipaint, I think that I'm pretty positive on people buying the SonarPen 2, honestly, because it's like Hipaint is basically like a Procreate alternative, and it's free and it just has very slight ads. There's also ZenBrush, which is a $5 app. I didn't try out every single app for the SonarPen 2, but if I were to sell this to an iPad user, it would be, of course, for a digital art application. Hipaint definitely satisfied anything I would want from a digital art application. I don't know how in-depth it is, but I know that it at least has the functionality of a regular digital art application I would want on an iPad. So after using that, I was very happy. I saw that I could actually customize the customizable button for the SonarPen 2 in Hipaint, so I was happy with that. And everything worked so much smoother than it really did in IbisPaint. I did actually have to manually connect the driver for the SonarPen 2 in Hipaint, but it just automatically recognizes the SonarPen 2 after you do it the first time. And aside from that, I felt like the pressure sensitivity worked leagues better than it did in IbisPaint. And it was so much more easy to understand coming from a Procreate user's perspective. I've used IbisPaint before, but I just find it to be a very confusing application. I suppose if you don't care about drawing with pressure sensitivity, you can also do that. I actually was able to get out a pretty nice drawing in Clip Studio using the SonarPen 2, though it did take me longer than it would with a regular pressure sensitive pen. But nonetheless, it looked like artwork that I could produce with a pressure sensitive pen. So if you have the patience, there is a use case for this. Overall, I think this is a pretty decent alternative to the Apple Pencil. Of course, if it doesn't support any software that you would want to use, like if you're very stuck on using things like Procreate or Clip Studio or ToonSquid, this may not be the right thing for you, but I think it's a pretty good alternative in the fact that it has a good price point at around 40 or 50 US dollars. It also has a good amount of functionality. It works just like an Apple Pencil. It might annoy you a little bit because it has the cable right there, but this thing also should get updates. They have sent out the drivers to different developers, even Procreate and Clip Studio, which are two apps that you might want to see, and you can even request more apps on their website. So if you guys are interested in this, I'll leave a link below to where you can buy it. So that's all for today. Just please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more updates on art and animation on the iPad. Thank you.